Hey there, welcome to another edition of Gigi Inspire, here to inspire another day. Very pumped up. Today is going to be a great topic. We have so many great pieces of little information to give you, and I've been working on it with my buddy Joel Johnson. She's been helping me collaborate. Very excited. Hey Sasha, how are you? Thanks for joining today. So I just wanted to give people a couple minutes to jump on. This is actually going to be a pretty cool topic today. And this is like as an entrepreneur, this is like the real world opportunity to be able to hear and be in the trenches. I'm somebody who's in the trenches with you. Hey, Joel. Hey, Sarah. And I'm in the trenches every day, right? So as we are, building a business, and many of us are our employees or building a business, like there's a lot of things that we need to understand and be more mindful of. And today our topic is actually forgiveness and kindness. And it's an interesting one because I think that a lot of people don't necessarily realize how important it is to forgive and how to deal with things that come about and let them go and find good ways to let them go. So I'm just gonna let you guys have an opportunity to, invite a few people. Today, like a lot of you guys have heard my story before, but I used to be, actually I know Sarah from another life when we were like pre-meds, long time ago, studying, doing crazy hours of like, oh my gosh, 2 hours is too much to even go to a movie and then miss studying. But I ended up going a different route, so I went through like that whole medical process and school and all of that, and then decided to kind of jump ship and become an entrepreneur and follow the dreams and follow the goals and follow the things that I wanted, right? Like many moons ago, it feels like, and now we like have kids and they're growing up and businesses and all of that. And it's nice to be able to reconnect with people. And that's one of the best ways, through Facebook and through social media, to actually show people like, what you're doing. Because so many times I run into people that I haven't seen in years and years, and they're like, oh yeah, I've seen, how are your kids? How are your daughters? How's this? How's that? I thought she's playing soccer. But it's like, wow, I don't even need to tell you what's going on because you already know. But anyway, so as an entrepreneur and as in people in general, like we're always working to improve and always working to get better. Hey, Melda. Hey, Regina. So I just want to share with you some of my thoughts on forgiveness and some of these things you might have heard before. A lot of us have things that go wrong in our lives, and I'm going to have some water already. A lot of us have things that go wrong in our lives. Being an entrepreneur, it's easy to get disappointed. Things happen to you, somebody doesn't do this, or it doesn't happen the way that you want it to. Like you get disappointments, your goals, the goals that you set out and you put into the universe, you don't always hit them, right? Whatever they might be in business or in life or what have you. You're always going to have disappointments that come along the way. Your big vision is the thing that you're really looking for to be able to create, like that picture of your life. And some of you might not even know what that picture of your life is, but you have to be understanding and mindful of the fact that you're going to hit bumps in the road. Stuff is going to happen, right? But along the way, you have to practice forgiveness and kindness, because sometimes those bumps in the road can be people. Can be disagreements. It can be, people that hurt your feelings or stuff that happened that was actually directed at you, or somebody even didn't mean to direct it at you, but it came from somebody else, right? And these are the kinds of things that we have to be aware of and we have to figure out how to deal with, right? Because people aren't going to go away. We're full of people everywhere, right? Everywhere you go, there's very few places you can go where there aren't a bunch of people. So we have to learn how to deal with people, and more so learning how to deal with ourselves so that we're better able to cope with what goes on around us, right? So, you're going to have issues with like raising your children and getting married and anyone else that gives purpose to your life. You're going to have stuff that comes along. And so you have to make sure that you have the ability to forgive people and not hold on to things, because when you don't forgive people, you're stunting your growth, if you will, right? When you hold on to these things, like it lowers your energy. It's tough to sleep. You might get anxiety. You might have stress. You may, it can consume you sometimes, right? Like sometimes you can spend your time thinking in a loop of all the stuff that's going on in your mind that you're like, I'm so frustrated about X, Y, Z, right? Or this happened, or how come this person did that to me? And it stunts you from being able to think clearly, to be able to get to the next level. And that's what you want, right? So if it's jealousy, or if it's hurt, or if it's resentful, or if it's mean, like all that energy doesn't serve you, and it doesn't make you better. It doesn't make you a better parent, a better spouse, a better friend, a better anything, right? Or coworker. better colleague. It doesn't make you a better person in general. And so if you can come from a grateful place and a kind heart, you're going to be in a much better situation to be able to accept all the blessings that are coming to you. I wanted to read you guys this really quick, and it's from the Bible. It's Luke 6:37, and it's, do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. So even in the Bible, it talks about making sure that you forgive, that you let go of these things so that you can be free, right? So I just wanted to touch on a couple of things, and please feel free if you guys have any questions or things that you may be dealing with that you're kind of holding on to, let us know. Alexander Pope said that to err is human, to forgive divine. And I bet you there are a ton of you, hey Tara, I bet you there's a ton of people out there who have heard that quote before, but they are still those same people who may have experienced being wronged and have something happen to them, and they're like, why would they do that? I don't understand. Like, what are they thinking? Or how could that have happened? Or why does that kind of stuff happen to me? Hey, Charles. It really is one of those things where you have to be in a place where you are open to letting things go and being able to figure out that, like, you are not responsible when things go wrong, right? But you have to take responsibility for how you react. And it's your choice about how you react and what you do differently, right? Jewel said, is forgiving forgetting? So not necessarily. So a lot of times, if something happens and it's really bad, and we as I almost would say, like, most of us have been raised like in the middle class mindset. The middle class mindset is like, whose fault is it? Who is it to blame, right? So you have somebody, when it comes down to, you figure out like who is to blame, so to speak, right? You have to be able to forgive that person because maybe they didn't know what they were doing, or maybe they didn't mean to, or maybe they didn't know what that action that they were taking was going to be hurtful to you. So forgiving is not necessarily forgetting, right? It may be something that you're mindful of so that you decide, I'm going to do things differently next time. I'm not going to leave myself open to those kinds of issues or stuff that goes on. But forgiveness and forgetting are two separate things, right? If you hear like, oh, forgive and forget. Yeah, you may be able to forgive and forget and let it go. But if you aren't at the point where here's the thing, what I see is sometimes, and I'll tell you guys a couple stories, like sometimes when you want to forgive somebody, or you just kind of push it to the side and you really don't think about it anymore. You're like, oh, I'm not even worried about it. But then when you see them, all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, I haven't. I'm not over it yet, right? So forgiveness is being to the point where you're truly indifferent, where it doesn't matter to you anymore. Good, bad, or ugly, you're like, it doesn't change my mind, right? Yeah, Sarah, it's totally liberating. Like, you're getting in a place, like when you've been wrong, you have to let it go, because the only person at that point is that it's hurting is you, right? It's renting space in your head. It's causing all those things I was talking about, losing sleep and lack of energy, all of that. What I do is I turn my focus onto something productive. Like, I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't have time to focus on whatever BS or nonsense that is, right? That is upsetting me right now. I'm going to focus on something productive. I'm going to work. I'm going to see how many other lives I can change at this point and share the message that I have to share with them, so that they can, they can reap the benefits of me turning my focus onto something healthy and positive, or working out or something like that. The idea is that you want to be able to bring better things into everyone's lives, and especially your own. And when you have the ability, like, what happens when you actually are forgive and you're kind to others, I'll talk about kindness too, it sets you free. It allows you the space to open up and have incredible abundance, right? So, this is one of the biggest things that I wanted to share with you guys. But the other part of it is that, like, when I was younger, when I was 17 years old, and my dad was in the hospital. He was having some surgery, and he was like coming out of like anesthesia, and he was like all like groggy and stuff like that. And he said something to me about the fact that I was wearing too much makeup. I was 17, right? And I was like, so I was pissed off. I was like, what? Like, I came to visit you at the hospital, and all you're telling me is about, like, I'm wearing too much makeup and this and the other. And I talk to him? Like, I left the hospital and I was like super mad, and it was like ridiculous. And looking back, I didn't talk to him for like, I don't know, a few months after that, which is totally ridiculous. And who did that hurt? It hurt him, yeah, but it also hurt me. And it created a divide within our relationship. So sometimes it's better to just mend the fence and like swallow your ego and swallow your pride and just take the hit, right? Like a friend of mine says, like, hit me in the mouth right now versus hitting me in the mouth, like, you know, in a year or 5 years or 10 years or 20, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're holding on to it, it's hurting you. And maybe you're holding on to it and it's, you know, about somebody else and it's not hurting them, right? Maybe they're not worried about it. They're like, I don't really care, but it's affecting you, right? So whether it's affecting you or affecting them, you're more important than anybody else. So you got to take care of yourself, right? And you also need to be kind. Oh, Jewel has another question. Thank you, Jewel. Can being kind make you look naive to others? You know, it's a really interesting thing. I think that sometimes, and I was talking to somebody about this earlier, like when you're kind and you're really giving to people, sometimes people mistake that as weakness, or they mistake it as like naivete, or like I'm somebody who should be taken advantage of because I'm so nice, you know? And that's a problem, because I think at the end of the day, we should be kind and we should be good to others, but we also have to be firm and know where our line is in the sand. Like, I'm gonna draw this line and I will be nice and I will be kind and I will be good and giving and all of that. But at a certain point, I'm drawing the line and I'm not gonna let anybody go past it. And so if sometimes people are like, oh, you're too nice. Well, maybe you haven't drawn the line in the sand, or you haven't let people know like what's your boundary, so to speak, right? Be kind and good to others, but don't let them walk on you like you're a doormat, right? Don't let people utilize your time or waste your time. Like, be kind to yourself first. You have to be good to yourself and know, like, this is what I need in order to be able to thrive. Like, I was joking with somebody the other day. I was telling them, like, I wrote my goals and my affirmations and all this stuff that I've been doing, right? I'm talking about goals and reading your affirmations and staying focused, and I have them everywhere, right? So I have them in my car, I have them in my notebook, I have them in the bedroom, I have them in the bathroom. They're all laminated, right? But I have them in multiple places, and the reason why is because I know myself well enough to know if I have one, it won't get read. Hey, Ebony. So it's so important to know who you are and know how you're going to get it done. And finally, I got to the point where I started to realize some of those things. Now, I still got work to do. We all have work to do, and we're all working to get better. But one of the biggest things is, like, when you're being kind to people, treat them as if you would want to be treated, right? Like the golden rule of do unto others as you would have done unto you. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that we are nice, we're respectful, we're good to others, because that's how we would want them to treat us, right? So I appreciate you guys jumping on. I want you guys to understand, like, some of the basics of being kind are like pleases and thank yous, right? And having good manners, like the kinds of things that we teach our kids that we don't think about. Even holding the door for someone, helping them out, right? Doing something to make things a little bit easier for someone else. That will, a lot of times, that's the kind of thing that will make you feel better about who you are as a person, right? And so forgiveness and kindness are two things that I think are really important in business, because stuff's not always going to go your way, right? And so you should just be expecting it, right? Like they say, the adversity, expect adversity to come at you, so that when you're not surprised, like, oh my gosh, something happened, or someone said something to me, like, expect it, because it's going to happen all the time. It happens every single day, right? But if you expect it, then you're not shocked, and you feel a little bit better in a healthy way. Well, Imelda has a question. What if you were kind to everyone and you were pushed, what is it? I'm not wearing my glasses. So if you were pushed front and back, and now you no longer like that, people see you as the meanest person, how do you go past that? Well, here's the thing. It sounds like from that question that whoever it is you're asking about, might not be you, right? But if that person is kind and allows people to walk on them, that's when it goes back the other direction. Then you're kind of like, forget everyone. Like, I don't like that. I don't want to be good to people anymore. Like, that's the thing, you know? And so you have to draw that line in the sand, and you don't have to be mean about it, but you have to learn how to be firm. You have to make sure that you know, look, here's my boundary. Like, I am happy to help you with XYZ, but as soon as it encroaches on my time or my this or my kids or any of those kinds of things, I'm not able to do that. And so one of the things that's hard is when you're kind-hearted and you want to be giving and you want everybody to like you, right? But it's better for you. And yes, it's okay. If you say no to people, they will still like you and they'll still care about you, but they will respect you. Okay, so respect is a really important thing. And if sometimes that kindness allows people to walk on you, and then they don't respect you anymore, right? And if they don't respect you, then you don't really have a good relationship, and it's going to be very difficult to move forward in a healthy way. So if it's gotten to that point, hopefully you can have that conversation, and you first have to have that conversation with yourself and figure out, like, what are my lines? What are my boundaries? What are the things that I'm willing to tolerate? What are the things that I'm not willing to tolerate, right? And once you know that, and you're firm on that, and you're 100% on board with yourself, then you're gonna have to be able to share that with other people and be okay with the fact that they're not all gonna like it. Well, it used to be like this. Well, it's not that way anymore. You know, this is what I've decided that I want, right? So I hope that's helpful. You know, like I feel like there's so many of us that are making mistakes that we could just have a little bit of like coaching or like a little bit of tips on how to be a little bit better. And it's like little tweaks in our lives that would turn so many things around, that we would be able to have more success and have more fun and have more and more people that are, you know, potentially working with us or that we're able to impact. And that's what I'm looking for. Like, I look to be able to coach and help people and teach them in a lot of different ways, like teach them how to run the business, teach them how to get themselves together financially, all those things. Those are things that I do. But at the end of the day, it's about interpersonal communication. It's about how you're dealing with others and what value you're bringing to other people, right? Like, my job, the way that I look at it, is my job is to bring value to other people and create a better life for them. So if it makes you, you know, better because you are learning how to forgive more, or you're learning how to be kind to others, and you're learning how to draw that line in the sand and make sure that you know where you are, that's something that can create a better life for you, right? And whether you're in business or you're a parent, even with your spouse, you know what I mean? Like, I won't go into too many stories about me and my husband, because for a long time, like, we didn't always understand each other, right? We're two completely different people, and we had to learn how to be able to create a life together, right? And it's not always so easy. So I'm hoping if anybody has any other questions. Hey, Shay. Hey, Stephen, how are you? Hey, Binu and Tony, good to see you guys. Very excited. So if anybody has any other questions, let me know. Imelda, that was a great question. And I appreciate that, because I think there's a lot of people out there that want to be so good. And even with your kids, do you know what I mean? Like, not your kids specifically, but for, like, sometimes when I miss my kids, I want to do things for them, and I want to be good to them, and I want to, you know, do more for them. But sometimes I have to realize that I shouldn't be rewarding them when their behavior is not good, right? Because at the end of the day, like, I'm creating in them the habits that they're going to create for the rest of their lives. And I don't know if I talked about this the other day, but like, my daughter has a really hard time getting up in the morning. And she's 6, and I was talking to her about, and I talked to her like she is an adult, and I know she doesn't understand. My dad's like, she doesn't understand what you're talking about. I was talking to her about getting up in the morning, and how, like, if you want to be able to, like, create a great life for yourself one day, you're going to have to get out of this habit of sleeping in. It's like impossible to get her up in the morning. It's like craziness, right? But it's going to get better. But I said, how many years have I been on this earth? More years than you? And she said, yeah. And I said, do you think it's harder to break a habit at 6 or at 36 or 26 or 16? And she was like, well, that's more years, so I guess that's a lot, and that would be harder. And I said, yes. So I'm going to teach you how to break these habits now, right? So all of us, like, all this stuff that you're seeing on social media, like how to think better, how to take more action, how to do this, how to do that, it's teaching you how to break some of the habits that have been ingrained in you your entire life. We've been all taught to do things a certain way by our teachers, our parents, by church, by all, like, our environment around us, even television, right? A lot of us, I don't even watch television anymore, but most of us grew up watching a lot of television. And so a lot of, like, the way that we do things have been shaped by a script. They've been shaped that way. And so we have to realize that real life is not like that. And we actually have to take our power back and start doing things that we think actually work, right? Work in real life, work in a changing world, in a social media world where people are able to go out and show you all different types of different things that they're doing. But this is the way that you create a better life, is by making changes and constantly getting better. I know we all have lots to improve on. I have tons of stuff that I have to improve on. All of us do, but it's little tweaks along the way, and they make a big difference. So let me see, does anybody have any other questions for me? It's so cool to see how so many people got on today. I love it. Let's see, I had one other thing I wanted to share with you guys. Oh, so we are planning an event. We're doing an event on March 4th. And it's all geared towards veterans, towards active military, towards first responders. And we're going to do a little workshop for the kids, and we want to talk about, how to become an entrepreneur and how to actually understand, financial matters a little bit better. But this is an event that we've never done like this, and we're going to have Nicole Wendt, who you guys saw me do some postings with her recently, and actually did an interview with her a while back. You can go back and take a look at it. And she's former Air Force, and she's a badass. She's awesome. So she's going to speak, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking to get a couple of more military veterans to come and speak, and it looks like, I don't have the location for sure. I should probably not even say it. But I'm going to check it out tomorrow, so we'll have it confirmed, and we're going to start to put flyers and do some marketing. So it's going to be an awesome event. Oh, Jewel has a question. If I am mean to someone, how do I fix it? Well, Jewel, I don't know. I've never been mean. No, I'm just kidding. Every once in a while, I have my times where I'm like not on the ball, or I'm, in a bad space, and I'm probably not coming off the way I want. But if you were mean to someone, I would say that the first thing that you have to realize is, first of all, why? Why were you mean to them? Was it about them, or was it about you, right? So were they talking to you at a time that you were frustrated and you had a bunch of other stuff going on, and maybe you lashed out at them and you didn't mean to? You kind of almost like you have to do like a check-in with yourself and figure out why did that happen? Because being mean comes from something. It's not just, we're not all born mean, right? So that would be the first thing. And then I would check in with yourself and figure what that is, and then I would check in with them and kind of let them know, hey, this is what happened. I apologize. It's okay to apologize, even though sometimes people don't want to. The words "I'm sorry," they don't fix everything, right? I try to explain to my daughters, so if one of them hits the other one, which occasionally happens, it's usually the little one hitting the bigger one. But so if one of them hits the other one, and I don't want them to just get in the habit of oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Jasmine, I hit you. Okay, so I'm sorry is great, but it doesn't take the pain away. It doesn't all of a sudden, if you really hurt her, just because you said I'm sorry, I hope you meant it, right? But it doesn't necessarily change anything, right? It just lets them know that you're aware and you feel remorse, right? But so saying I'm sorry is important, but how are you acting afterward, right? It's not just the words of I'm sorry. Are your actions showing that you're truly sorry, right? Are you changing the actions? Are you making steps to be able to do differently so you don't do it? At Jasmine's school, what they do is they have the check-in. So they say, before something happens between the kids, what they do is they say, okay, I'm trying to remember exactly what it is. So when you do this, I feel this. Next time, or wait, when you do this, I feel this because this. Next time. So when you took my ball away, I felt hurt because I wanted the ball. Next time, can you please ask me first? Something like that. That sounds totally rudimentary, and but it's the kind of thing that at that school, they don't have bullying. They don't have that kind of stuff. They basically learn how to check in and deal with each other before they involve the teacher or staff or whatever like that. It really makes a huge difference, right? But be able to teach our kids how to have conflict resolution at 5 and 6 years old. So that, and even it's funny because even on the the older kids, because there's a middle school and a high school, you hear them doing it on the field, when they're out and they're playing and they're checking in with each other. Hey, when you do that, I don't like it because such and such. So next time this, right? And so they handle it, and they actually have open lines of communication, and they call it the channel is closed at that point, and they move on and they play. And it doesn't become a big festering thing. Gosh, if we as adults were able to just check in with people and say, hey, you know what? I didn't like that you said that, or I didn't like that you did that. It hurt my feelings because of this. Next time, I'd really appreciate if you did it this way. Oh, okay, no problem. Case closed, done, move on. Let's focus on the things that are gonna be positive now, right? Does anybody else, can I get an amen? Because I'm this is the kind of stuff that I think if we had a better understanding of interpersonal communication, we would be much better off, because we wouldn't be so distracted on a lot of the stuff that goes on. You're not able to necessarily focus on what you want to do because you're pissed off, or you're distracted, or you're thinking about stuff that is not that important in the long run, and it's counterproductive for you, right? Jewel, man, you are the question queen today. When you are a leader, how do you mentor, aka critique, without looking like a mean boss? So that's a great question. I would say that somebody told me once, actually, I think it was Jamie Villalova, so one of my mentors, she kind of taught me, look, if you have feedback to give to someone or critique the way that you want to say it, like you have to find a way to be able to be direct and be straight with those people, but you also still want to make them feel good at the end of the day, right? So they call it like the bun, meat, bun method, like a burger, right? Or if you don't eat meat, like a veggie burger or whatever you want. So you have like the bun, right? The bun's soft and like doughy, hopefully, right? So you have the bun. So you start it by saying like, I think you're awesome. Like I'll use Jewel as an example. Like, Jewel, you're amazing. Like you could do anything. You're incredible. Like you're like that person that like everybody, you would be like on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? You would be like on my Lifeline, because I know that you pretty much know everything. And at the end of the day, if you don't know, like you have like Google like on speed dial, I think you actually could call Google yourself and get the information faster than I would be able to do it. So, but you're amazing, right? But I would say that like, when sometimes you're, you work so hard that you like almost would like lay yourself out, right? That you work too hard and you kind of have to like step back just a little bit and take some you time, right? Take some focus on you, right? So that would be the critique. That'd be like the meat, quote unquote. And then the bun. But you know what? I know you're going to win because you're amazing. Like you're an incredible person and you have the ability to do X, Y, Z. And I know you're going to win because of all these things, all these gifts that you have, right? So critique doesn't feel so bad when you surround it with love, right? If you give it a love sandwich, everybody needs critique. Everybody needs to get better. If we got better at being able to discuss with people like what are the issues that they have, what are the challenges that they have, what are the areas of opportunity or room for improvement that they have, like they would be in a much better situation, because then they're not walking around thinking like I'm freaking awesome and everything I do is the bomb, and other people are like, yeah, no, I don't think so, right? So it's so important to be able to give people real feedback, but everyone's so afraid. Like I remember when I was really young in my business, like I would go out and I would be training somebody else, and I would know all the things that they didn't do right. And I would be like, okay, so good night, see you later. And I wouldn't tell them. And that was like stupid. Like I was like, why? I'm not giving them the feedback. It's not good for them because they're not learning. It's not good for me because I'm trying to like, I don't want them to be mad at me for giving them feedback. How about I just learn to give feedback a little bit better, and then they could learn and they could move forward, and then I would feel good because then I would have somebody who's actually trained and knowing what to do. Right? So as a leader, like you have to get better. And if there's anybody that you're working with, if there's one person behind you, you're a leader, right? So take that seriously and know that you have to get to the point where you can honestly give somebody feedback without feeling like, oh my gosh, they're gonna be mad. I hope they're not mad at me. It's not that serious. And most people, they're not worried about you. They're worried about them. They're worried about the stuff they got going on in their life. And if you can help them get better, that means they're going to be more productive. They're going to be in a position that they can make more things happen in their job, in their family, in their business, their entrepreneurial career, all those things. And so they're going to thank you later for giving that critique. Can you imagine you tell somebody that they've got issues about whatever, and they come back and tell you, thank you so much for being the first person or being so honest with me, right? That's a blessing. And that's an incredible feeling as a leader. And it shows that you're growing, right? Because at the end of the day, like, we're all here to grow and get better and improve, right? You became entrepreneurs, or you're in your job, or you became parents because you want to be able to create something great in your life, right? Yeah. So wait. What did Erica say? I love the scenario handling situation. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I think we're pretty good. I hope you guys got some value from today. Like I said, mark the calendar, March 4th. It's February 14th coming up. So Valentine's Day, I think we're going to do a very special event at our office, just like a couple's little thing. So that'll be nice. But March 4th, we're doing, like I told you, an event for veterans, for military, for first responders and kids. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're looking forward to it. You're going to see a lot of marketing on social media about it. And great things are coming. So be inspired to have an absolutely knockdown, drag out, great life. Bye.